Unfortunately, I've got a lot of hand sanding to do. Not everywhere can you get with a electric sander, but I don't know. There's so many little nooks and crannies. I'm kind of just trying to rough it up and hope for the best. I'm trying to get the tailgate done. Once I get this tailgate done, I'm going to pull off the handle to the tailgate, sand around that, then I'll take this tailgate off the pickup and consider it ready for some Bondo. But this morning I've literally spent most of the morning hand sanding on the tailgate. And I had to, I don't know, it'll probably won't show up, but I had to do a ton of welding up in here, kind of all along where these two halves were separating. I got in there with the grinder the best I could, just so that there's no sharp edges, but you can't really fit anything up in there, at least tool-wise that I have, to sand it. So I did what I could. And it's going to have to kind of be good enough. I'm not really concerned with inside of the bed of the truck. So I'll turn that off until I'm done sanding on the tailgate. So another thing I'm running into is, especially on the bottom of this tailgate, there's seam sealer where they kind of bent the metal around and lipped it. And what I'm finding is underneath the seam sealer is quite rusted. So what that means is I've got to remove all the seam sealer, I think starting from this point, clear down all the way along the bottom and up that other side, so that I can address that rust, and then we'll have to re-seam seal it later. So let's see how this works. I'm going to try heating it up. It seems to be doing it. One of the issues is going to be, I know that clear down in that lip is rusted. I'll either try to put some rust converter or some vinegar water down in there. I mean, I can't afford to take it apart and do it correctly. And I probably shouldn't even be removing the seam sealer. But it's kind of like, where do you stop? Where do you stop on such a project? So, just thought I'd show you kind of what I'm up against and what I'm going to do. but I won't sit here and film the whole thing. So obviously I got the tailgate off. I've been sanding on it. Now I'm gonna have to address the seam sealer. I got the handle off, so I'll just kind of sand around where the handle went. And then I'm gonna consider this ready for Bondo. Like I've said, I'm kind of shooting for the middle of the road. So I kind of wanted to show you, here's a bit of seam sealer that when it was in place you couldn't really tell, but when you lift it up, I don't know if you can see in there kind of how rusted that is. So just wanted to kind of show you what's happening underneath the seam sealer. So here we continue. So I don't know if that really shows up that well. If I pull it inside the shop, then it's in the shade. If I pull it out in the sun, then I, of course, get the sun reflection. But so here, just another example of the seam sealer that I pulled out. You can just kind of see all along there rust. So now that that's out, and I'll flip the camera around and show you, but I'm gonna hit all those joints the best I can with this wire wheel, and I'm hoping for a good result, so I don't have to really go any further than that, but we'll check it out. So let me stop this, flip the camera, get it set up, and we'll continue. And it is highly recommended to wear safety glasses. These wire, and I've actually had these things fly off and embed in my skin. They do fly off quite frequently. So, not a big one on the safety necessarily, but there's a time for it. So let's give this a try. Should have just taken it out in the first place, but wire wheel did a really good job of pulling that out. So that seems to be cleaning it actually really well. So I'll wire wheel it. I won't show all of it, but I think I'll then hit it with some vinegar water, get the rust out of there. And I don't know. We'll address it at that time. Just wanted to show what wire wheeling discovered once you kick the rust off. I found out this is the lower passenger side of the tailgate, and boom, the corner is rusted out. So I'm gonna have to do some welding and put in a piece. So I might address that now. Just kind of weld in the corner here. All right. There's Helper Boy. Say hi, Wombly. What you doing? Are you playing? Are you driving? You don't know? Yeah? Earlier he was messing with my tools. Now he's messing with my tie downs. Are you messing with my tie downs? Don't go falling out of the window. Huh? Anything to say to the camera? I guess not. Alright, so I cut the little corner out, the top. Oof, that's blurry. So I cut the top of it out, but I left these two little parts, that one and that one. Those are from underneath. And I cut a little piece of metal. I'll just show you kind of here what I'm going to do. Yeah, I can get it to stay. Something like that. And I'm going to weld that little piece in. And by the time I grind it and sand it out, hopefully it's as good as new. Alright, that's the little corner welded in and sanded. You probably can't see, I don't know, slight little pinhole, little bondo, no problem. I cannot afford to spend all day on this tailgate. So, moving on, do a little bit more sanding on the tailgate. I gotta sand kind of up underneath where the handle is. And I'm gonna give it kind of a one over, and tailgate, I'm gonna consider it done. And then I'm gonna sand the back side of the hood so that I can consider it done. And I don't know, I might sand a little bit here. You can see the two different layers, and I can kind of feel that, so I might hit the top side a little bit more. So So I don't know if you can see the same thing here. Yeah, I think it shows up. So all along the bed on the side, along the wheel well and down, there's a seam sealer, and it's the same. Let's see if I can chip out a bit here. It's the same thing, heavy rust underneath, so I'll end up removing all this seam sealer and hitting it with a wire wheel like I did the tailgate. I'm gonna go around and sand what I can with this guy, and then painstakingly do what I have to do by hand. Still haven't decided. I'm thinking about doing the sides blue, the Toyota blue, doing the wheel wells Toyota blue, but then I'm thinking about putting that bed liner, the black bed liner, on the very bottom. I know a lot of people do the whole bed with that. Personally, I hate the looks of that. It really bothers me. But maybe I can get by with it just on the bottom. I don't know. I haven't decided. It'd probably withstand, you know, throwing stuff in here more than the blue paint. So I'm just going to continue sanding, taking out the seam sealer, and we'll catch up in a bit. Alright, quick update. Yeah, it's interesting. When I looked at this truck, and I mean, I don't expect anything else. It's a 1981, but just to show you what I'm into, and you can also see like some light dots through here. That's where it's rusted through. So I've removed all the seam sealer. Basically, what happens to the bed of these trucks, probably any truck, is where the metal is sandwiched together, you've got rust. And in the case of, you know, redoing this, I can do the stuff that I can reach. Like, I mean, I'm going to get in here, clean this out, either use rust converter, vinegar, water, you know, eat the rust out of here. But, you know, I know that there's still going to be rust back in here where I can't get to. And so I kind of look at it as I'm just prolonging the life. I'm not fixing a problem at all. Because you can see the heavy, heavy, heavy rust up in the corner, comes clear around. I don't know how in depth I'm going to take it. I might leave these seam sealers alone. And that one, I removed up and over the tailgate. You can see all that rust, or tailgate, the wheel well. All that rust. And then on top of it, you can see rust, you know, underneath. And that's the bottom of a lip, you know, where the metal's been sandwiched together. All that rust. You know, I can address what I can see, and that's about it. So, moving on. You know, these little rust bubbles that you see, that's right where that seam sealer is. And it doesn't show up on camera probably very well. But like this one here, that one goes clear through. I can actually kind of grab the metal. And I didn't know that till I removed the seam sealer. So, technically, I've got a hole here. So now comes the question, well, what are you going to do? I can't see cutting this metal out, welding it in a new piece, spending all that time, labor, when next door you have this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, you know, and on, you know, all the way down. So I think what I'm going to do, don't know yet, but I know this whole side, it has to be skimmed, because I mean this is just as bubbly as can be. I've got this product here, Duraglass. It's waterproof. It has strands of fiberglass in it, and that's probably what I'm going to use, you know, like for instance on here. as my first coat, and then I can top coat it with regular Bondo. I don't know. I just what does a person do in a situation like this? You can't find these panels anywhere. So far, to my knowledge, there's no company that reproduces these old Toyotas. I don't know why. You think since every high schooler gets these things and they're uncool unless every panel's dented, you think that they would offer them. You also see a lot of Toyotas running around where from this joint down, they take that off. And now I see why. It's because they rusted off. I can come around here and show you. I don't know if it'll show up on camera. Yeah. So here, technically speaking, top layer of metal, gone. Down here, those little rust spots, well, this one at least, top of the metal, gone, All that rust. Down at this end, right in there, doesn't really show up, top of the metal, gone. So, yeah, this is a rust bucket. Question is, if a person puts a new coat on it, how much time does that buy you? You put a good epoxy primer on it and coat it with a good coat of paint. How much time does that get you? Obviously, you put all this effort. You want to keep the old 91 on the road. These things are a classic. And besides being a classic, they're bulletproof. This thing doesn't even have fuel injection, just carbureted, It's literally a go-kart on wheels. Straight axle. Little simple 4-cylinder. Bad part, no replacement panels, no nothing. So, I don't know. I'm going to kind of do what I do, shoot for the center of the road, realizing that unless I were to drill out every tack weld, take it apart, it is an appropriate way to do it, but I would never finish it. I don't have the time, with my job. My job is very demanding. With my family, family time, I just couldn't. I'd never finish it. So this is just reality, guys. So back at it I go. So basically not a lot to show you on the Toyota. I'm still removing seam sealer, still sanding. Pretty boring hours and hours of sanding and seam sealer. I thought I would have gotten a lot farther today, but I also ran into far more, I didn't know I'd be removing seam sealer. I didn't know that there'd be that much rust. I had to stop and do some welding, grinding on the tailgate. Under normal circumstances, if you could get a tailgate, that tailgate was destined for metal scrap, but in the case of right now, we're going to use it. It does make me think about perhaps parking the truck inside. But that brings me to another topic. I've got a 69 Charger that I'm going to start to do once the Toyota's done. Of course, that I want to do in great detail. Don't want to cut corners on that. It's not a work truck, obviously. I can't decide at this point which way I want to go. I know a lot of guys are buying like newer 2014 whatever. I mean, if I could get a Hellcat, yep, that's what I'd do. But all the components on my Charger from the running gear, suspension, transmission. You know, it's got the 3-speed. Sounds like it's gonna blow up going down the freeway. Got the gas hog. If it's a 440, numbers matching, I might think differently, but at this point, I'm leaning towards buying a wrecked Challenger, Charger, I don't care which one. Hellcat, please. But what some guys are doing is they're literally removing from the floor pan up the old 69, and then on the Challenger Charger, they're using the floor pan. Of course, you've got all brand new suspension, brand new gas tank, brand new wiring, brand new transmission, running gear, motor, gauges, everything. Heck, you know, interior, possibly, some of it. And, you know, the end product is you've got something with far better gas mileage, far better cornering, far better maintenance, operability. So, I don't know. I haven't decided, and I'm not even on the Charger. So that brings me to the next thing. Trying to figure out how to build this channel. Not even sure what I've got going on here would be that interesting to most, because it's not really streamlined. What I've got going on is I'm just trying to show the things that I do, and I don't find a lot of people, much like myself, you know, that this would appeal to, and that's kind of my concern at this point. And kind of what I mean by that is, if I see people doing, like, yeah, I guess if you were to go by my channel name, North Grid or North Idaho Homestead, might lead you to think that I'm doing some off-grid, you know, live in a cabin, self-sustaining, and that's not what I'm doing. I'm somebody who's much into modern, you know, I'm very much on grid, but what I'm attempting to do is show different things that I do. Soon I'm going to run a series where I do a rat rod snowmobile, for instance. You know, I like getting into these old snowmobiles, taking 2 or 3, putting them together, and see if I can't come up with something that looks really cool. That's my hope for this winter. But I also have to rebuild the motor on this Toyota, you know, and continue work on this Toyota throughout the winter. I've got a Husqvarna chainsaw. I hope to rebuild that this winter as a winter project. I've got to put a new piston and cylinder and a bunch of things on that. Thing just, it worked great. Now it's kind of a gutless saw. So I'm gonna rebuild that. I hope to put that on next summer. I've got 9 huge trees next to my house. I'm gonna fall those. I'm not a tree faller, but we're gonna roll with it. We're gonna do it anyway. And that's kind of the deal with this channel is, you know, I'm not an auto body guy. I'm not a motor rebuilding person. Doesn't matter. We're gonna roll with it anyway, you know. So I've got a lot of projects, and eventually I'm going to squeeze in that 69 Charger. You know, and we'll see how the channel goes. I'm building up that, hopefully, pig business. A lot of it has to do with the fine government allows me to do, you know. I love doing cured meats. I have a huge interest in doing Spanish-style cured hams, if anybody knows about that, you know. Ham hangs for 2 years in your attic, basically. No salt, no nothing. How to get that past the USDA, you know, here in the fine United States, I don't know. You know, most things I have an interest in doing are not really government friendly. I thought about making aged cheeses. Government has an issue on that. My property, believe it or not, used to be back in the Prohibition, guy who owned it used to do moonshine. I thought about resurrecting that. Don't have to answer that one. But, so, I don't know. I guess the channel is to do, you know, various things that I do. I've done a lot of things, but on the other spectrum, I feel like I've done very little. Another part is, you know, from time to time, I think, you know, like let's say I already have my 69 Charger done, and I wanted to join, you know, there's all sorts of car enthusiast clubs that get together in the summer and go on rides. Most of those guys are retired and in their elderly, and, you know, trust me, I've already kind of dove into that corner, and not very open to having the young guy be a part of the club. And I run into that a lot. I used to do taxidermy, and I used to have stuff in shows. I used to have in fact, I still have stuff in Nevada in the Bighorn Convention. I started doing taxidermy when I was in 4th grade. It stands to reason that I know taxidermy. But, you know, I tried to do a business of that many years ago, and I'd have guys show up. I had the most extensive taxidermy shop of anybody around, you know, as far as the animals that I had in there, life-size animals. I had 10 times, 20 times as much as what anybody else had. I'd have guys come look at the shop. You know, my mom would kind of, when I wasn't around, run the shop, and they'd see my stuff, and they'd want to bring their animals to me. And my mom would be, hey, bring them back Monday. They'd show up Monday, back the truck up, animals in the truck, and, you know, first thing they'd ask me, where's the taxidermist? You know, where's your dad? I got that a lot. Where's your dad? And I'd be like, I am the taxidermist. And they'd drive off, you know. So, you know, I know I'm digressing from Toyota to bickering, but out here, you know, just thinking about, you know, I know other people run into this sort of stuff. And I guess my whole point is just roll with it. Do it, you know. Do anything you set your mind to. I can recall times when I lived in Portland, going out doing something as simple as hiking, and showing up, and everybody's got their expensive REI gear on, you know. Who knows how much they paid for all of it. They got the water packs, they got everything. And I roll up with a pair of Converse, you know. That's all I wear. Got them on now. I was going to show you, but I thought I'd spare you. And, you know, the comments, all that kind of stuff would start flying. And, you know, city slicker, I'd hear it all, you know. And I'd out-hike any of them, any day. I used to mountain bike. I used to mountain bike 3-4 times at least a week, you know. And I can recall going mountain biking with, well, 2 of them were buddies, and the rest, you know, the rest of the guys, 6, whatever there were from some church group that they knew, you know. We go up mountain biking, and same thing. Comments. I don't got all the gear. I don't have the spandex pants. I don't have the knee whatever, you know, shin guard. I don't know what all that stuff is. But I do know that some of their sunglasses or safety glasses, whatever they are, cost more than my mountain bike. And I can recall my buddy T-Roy. He's an amazing mountain biker. We've lost track over the years, but guy's phenomenal. I will never equal his mountain biking. But the rest of the buffoons who have been mountain biking for years, I'd out mountain bike them, you know, no questions asked, you know. I'd go down stuff, you know, T-Roy would say, hey, go off this embankment, you know, do this, do that. I'll try it, you know, and I tried it. And I loved it. I ate it up for dinner, you know, but once again, I went mountain biking in Converse. I did have a helmet that day. Most days I didn't even have a helmet. But point is, I feel oftentimes, you know, I get judged. You know, living in here in Idaho, for instance. You know, most of the guys are rolling with $55,000 trucks. They love nothing more than to romp on that gas. And I get it. I just don't have $55,000. I don't got the beard. I don't have a lot of these things. But, you know, I'm well aware when I'm done with my little 81 Yoda, it's not going to cut the mustard. It's not going to join you into some club where everyone's rolling around $55,000 trucks. I'm fine with that. This Toyota will handle itself off-road any day of the week. So, I don't know, that's kind of one of the moods I'm in is, you know, kind of trying to figure out, much with my channel and much with myself, you know, where does one fit in life? And perhaps one never does, you know. Like I said, I can finish this truck, this 81 Toyota. It's not going to buy you any sort of leeway with guys rolling around, romping on their gas tanks or on their gas pedals with 4-inch exhaust. It's not going to get you any street credit with them. My Charger, if I finish it, when I finish it, it's not going to get you any street credit with the old retired people who can afford to roll in them, you know. My rat rod style snowmobiles won't get me any snowmobile credit with the guys rolling around in unpriceable snow machines. And, you know, I'm fine with that. But yeah, you know, sometimes it'd be nice to kind of meet like-minded people, you know. And actually that's kind of what I'm hoping out of this channel. I'm not doing this channel for any sort of money or you know, self-gain. I would, other than, you know, perhaps meeting people who kind of are like-minded. You know, got a little bit behind on this Toyota. My mom visited, and I always love it when my mom visits. Miss my mom already. You know, miss both my parents, my mom and my dad. Envy them both, and I give them a lot of credit for who I am today. Seems like I live in a, you know, in a time, we live in a time where parents aren't, you know, let alone grandparents or any elderly aren't respected, you know, and each to their own. So be it. If that's what a person wants to do, so be it. But I, for one, I respect those and that came before me, and love and learn from them dearly, you know. I love my mom, love my dad. I envy my dad. My dad was probably one of the smartest people that I've ever known, you know. That guy could take anything, still does, you know, in his 70s, and he still outworked me. But wished I could spend more time with my dad. We don't live close in proximity, but I'll always envy my dad. My dad was a self-made individual. Kind of irks me. I had on Facebook, you know, a cousin of mine kind of throw some digs my way, you know, something to the effect that, oh, you know, your mom sings praises. You're damn straight my mom sings praises. And I sing praises of my mom. So if you're my cousin, you're watching this, you're damn straight. I love my mom, love my dad. We'll sing praises for years to come, you know, and I'm sorry that bothers you. I'm sorry you have the demons you do, you know. And I wished you overcome those demons. I don't wish ill will for you at all, you know. But You know, my dad's a self-made individual. My dad left home when he was in mid-grade school. Not just left home, he's from Spain. He left his country and boarded a ship. Worked himself clear up. He was a ship captain in the Merchant Marine. I will never accomplish or have that great a story as my dad, you know, and I'm fine with that. My dad has an amazing story, and maybe someday I'll go into depth on that. But you know, the gist of this is just, you know, for those who out there who maybe aren't close to their parents, try to find the good. Try to find the good. Were my parents perfect? No. Was I a perfect child? Far from it. Very far from it. And you know, life's a battle. When I met my wife, not very many people were that stoked about it. You know, we didn't even have a wedding because you know, not enough people probably would have actually come enjoy and celebrate. You know, doesn't stop me. I love my wife, and to those who it bothers, golly, life's too short for that. You know, it still bothers people to this day. Sorry. But I roll. I do what I want in life. It's not always right. I learn from my mistakes, hopefully. But at the end of the day, I do what I want. You know. Don't try to hurt. So that's a bit of a digress. I guess the takeaway is find the good. Find the good in people. Don't concentrate on the negative. As I work on this pickup, you know, I'm reminded of my dad, because my dad would jump into something like this and just eat it for dessert, you know, even though he had never touched it. Amazing, amazing guy. And I'll go maybe someday do a video more in depth on that, but I'm just reminded by him when I'm out here working. And my dad's traveling in Europe somewhere as we speak. So I wish him enjoyment and safety. So I'm going to continue my sanding. I'm not going to really show much more. I'm removing seam sealer and I'm sanding. So other than pointing and shooting the camera on that, I can't really show you anything more. So anyway, guys, I hope over the next, rest of today, I'm going to work all day, tomorrow, the next day, following if I have to. But this damn thing's got to get ready for primer, whether it's, you know, correct, the best job possible. I wanted to give a shout out. A website I've been watching a lot lately is this guy by the name of, his YouTube channel's Human. And he is a arborist, I believe you called him. So he's got an amazing story of his own, far better than my story. But I for some reason, I've just been watching the shit out of his videos lately. Great guy. He's back east somewhere. But I guess what really stands out about his site to me, he loves what he does for work. He eats it up for dessert. He loves his parents, loves his girlfriend. He just, you know, to me, he's found his spot, and that's empowering, you know, and that's the takeaway from his channel. So I urge you to go check out Human. Great site. So I'm gonna stop this video. That's probably gonna conclude it for this series. I might show up later. Tonight's dinner, someone gave us some ground Mangalista pork, and maybe you're all ahead of me on this, but I tried pork hamburgers for the first time maybe 6 months ago. I didn't even know something existed, but I can tell you this, since I ate pork hamburgers, I have never eaten and hope to never eat another beef hamburger. There's just no comparison, the flavor, you know, profile of a pork hamburger. It makes me wonder how comes fast food restaurants Do not use pork hamburgers. Why doesn't Burger King, why doesn't McDonald's put a pork hamburger on their menu? People would never think twice about getting another beef hamburger. I know. But I just had to share because it's the greatest thing. Pork hamburgers, guys. Try it.